What's up Top 10 fam, hope you're having an awesome day. I'm your host Ayman Hassan and welcome back to another video. Okay, now if you've been watching my individual videos for a while now, then you know I've mentioned on several occasions that I have a severe phobia of sharks and the ocean in general. So I will never go on a cruise or a ship, so for me this video isn't even scary because I was like, miss me with that. You ain't find me near there. But without further ado, these are the top 10 scary shipwrecks that are haunted. Starting off at number 10 is the SS Andrea Doria, also known as the Mount Everest of scuba diving, so you bet your ass I was going to start with this one. So the Doria was an Italian ocean liner which had the capacity of holding around 1,200 passengers and 500 crewmen. Italy was trying to rebuild their reputation after World War II, so the Doria was an icon of national pride. It was their biggest, fastest and safest vessel at the time, and it went on its maiden voyage in January of 1953. In July of 1956, its final voyage took place, and it was such a 1 in a million chance it sank the way it did. It went from place to place and was finally making its way from Naples to New York, but at that time the MS Stockholm was making its way from New York to Sweden. The Doria had been traveling in heavy fog for hours now, so they were going slow, they had their precautionary measures in place, it was all going well. When the MS Stockholm entered the fog, they sort of had no idea what was happening, nor could they see any ship in the fog. Now they knew they were both there because of the radar, but they miscommunicated each other's courses and started steering towards each other. They collided horribly and the ship sank 180 feet below the water. Thankfully, all the survivors were saved and only 46 died in the crash itself. Now divers that go down there have seen odd movements from the corner of their eye inside the shipwreck when there aren't any fish around. They felt the sensation of being touched on the shoulder and being pulled a certain direction despite no sudden current change. And I mean, not to mention, because it's so deep, so many divers died just trying to even reach the vessel. Coming in at number 9 is the SS Muigan, and it's Irish, so I hope I said that right. Shout out to Jack Finch. So this vessel only survived till her second voyage before sinking off the coast of the Lizard Peninsula near Cornwall. It was October 1898 and the ship was making its way from London to New York when it suspiciously veered wildly off course and went towards the Cornish coastline. It crashed into the highly dangerous rocks of the Manacles, killing 106 people in the process. But the most sus part of it all was that one rescuer on the job claimed he saw a mystery man leaving the ship on a lifeboat and making his way inland, and that mystery person turned out to be the captain of the ship. Biggest snake of 1898 confirmed. It was speculated that there was just no way such an experienced captain would veer that much off course and crash on rocks that were nowhere near his planned route. Apparently he had purposefully sunk the vessel for insurance gain, and if that's true, I hope killing 106 people was worth it, you effing snake. Divers that go explore the spooky relic have reported feeling a very weird sensation when touching the steamer, almost like an electric shock or current going through their system. One group of divers even said they were guided by something or some presence or something to a skeleton that was hidden inside the ship. At number 8 we have the RMS Rhone. Now this one is royally screwed. It was a UK Royal Mail ship before it sank, and it's now one of the most popular Caribbean wreck dive sites that people explore. On the day it sank, the San Narciso hurricane hit, so the master of the ship decided to move everyone off his ship called the Conway, which was to stay at the harbour, and onto the Rhone, which was to go into the open water. As the Rhone was going, the tail end of the storm hit them. The passengers were tied to their bunks to prevent injuries, which became problematic later on, as you can imagine. Captain Woolley was thrown straight overboard and never seen again. The anchor was cut off and still remains wrapped around the same coral head a century and a half later. 145 people were aboard and only 25 survived. Despite a horrible sinkage, the dive site is actually quite safe and roomy and kind of pretty. Like, the hull is filled with marine life and coral, so it's not super creepy. However, divers who have gone down there have heard screams underwater, I'm assuming from the people that were tied up and unable to escape as the ship was sinking right under them. Anxiety? Divers also feel like they're being touched by things that aren't there, and I mean, you can attribute that to water currents and whatnot, but if you're hearing screams, ghosts are definitely around, my friend. Filling our number 7 slot are Fujikawa Maru and Hoki Maru, because the only thing better than one haunted shipwreck is 2. These 2 ships were part of a 60 vessel unit that was basically Japan's stronghold in that part of the Pacific Ocean. They were sunk by US forces in 1944 during World War II, and now both wrecks are at the bottom of Nitrogaloon. There's just something really eerie about what water damage and decay looks like, and I feel like everything's just a lot creepier underwater anyway. But either way, divers that have the balls to go down there and explore the wreck have two things to worry about: sharks and the fact there's still life on the shipwrecks. Which one is scarier? You tell me. I vote number one. Now, divers have reported hearing the sound of machinery working away, and when the show Destination Truth was down there filming the wreckages, they picked up recordings of engines turning over and working when, hello, that is not possible. Now at number 6 is the USAT Liberty. So this vessel was a US Army cargo ship that got torpedoed by a Japanese submarine back in Jan of 1942 and obviously did not survive. It was towed and beached somewhere along the coast of Bali, and it stayed there until the eruption of Mount Agung in 1963. The eruption pushed the Liberty back out to sea, where it lays on a sand slope 100 feet underwater. Divers that go there have never reported seeing people down there or hearing sounds, but most of them have seen a rapidly approaching object that looks like it's coming at you and then it just disappears. Many believe it's the apparition of the torpedo that caused the vessel's downfall way back when. And this is cool to me, since I never really hear about people seeing the ghosts of inanimate objects. Like people and animals, yes, but a torpedo? That's the first for me. Coming in at number 5 is the SS Kamloops. So this one was actually a Canadian lake freighter that went on its first trip in 1924. In late November of 1927, it was carrying a bunch of cargo like paper-making machinery, shoes, piping, tar paper, etc. And it was going through Lake Superior, and sadly, in that period, storms were horrific. If you live in Canada, then I don't even need to tell you how bad the winter is, and in water, it's even worse. Now, covered in ice, the Kamloops was last seen going towards the shore of Isle Royale on December 6th. Search parties for the ship started a week after, but to no avail. The 22 people aboard were never seen again. Someone even found a message in a bottle a year later from Alice Bettridge, and she initially survived the sinking, and the note said, "I am the last one left alive. Freezing and starving to death on Isle Royale in Lake Superior. I just want mom and dad to know my fate." How haunting is that? Like, imagine being Alice, trying not to die, trying not to freeze, all alone, just hoping for someone, like anyone. Now, the vessel wasn't located till 1977, when it was discovered 270 feet below water near Isle Royale. The whole thing was intact because of the ice-cold water, and there's even a conserved body of a sailor inside the wreckage till this day. Locals call him Whitey or Grandpa, and when divers go down there, they feel this happy aura around his body that they can't explain. Grandpa also has the habit of moving around on his own despite being jammed under debris. Some divers have claimed he's under a ladder, others say he's under a door. How does he randomly move under debris? Like, the water can't move him like that. How does he do that? Grandpa, tell me your secrets. At number 4 is the Ethel Shipwreck, and if you guys haven't heard of the YouTube channel Amy's Crypt, definitely check it out. She investigated the shipwreck at night, and I was genuinely just shitting myself watching it. And if you guys like scary things, there you go. Now, on the 2nd of January 1904, the Ethel was on its way from South Africa when it hit a reef off the coast of South Australia. The wreck was not as big of a tragedy as you'd think. When it struck the reef, a young 19-year-old boy volunteered to swim to shore with a lifeline, but he was swept away and killed ASAP Rocky. Thankfully, by the next morning, the Ethel drifted to shore and everyone was safe. Suspiciously enough, the vessel that reported the Ethel's wreckage was called the Ferret, and that ship went down the same way in the exact location the Ethel did, but just 16 years later. Now, there are 26 shipwrecks along the coast, and it looks like a ship graveyard, because it is. There's just a bunch of ship skeletons, and yes, they actually look like skeletons, so I was like, wow. Amy went to the wreckage at night and used a device that transforms frequencies we can't hear into ones we can. She asked if there was someone around them that was aboard the Ethel, and a clear hymn was heard on the device. Members of her crew felt like they were being touched by the spirits around them, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised judging by how many ships died there. Filling our number 3 slot is the Salem Express. Now, this was originally a French passenger ship that sank in the Red Sea. It was basically a roll-on, roll-off car and person ferry that operated between Egypt and Saudi Arabia. Now, on the 17th of December 1991, the vessel was on its way back from carrying hundreds of Egyptian pilgrims when it hit the Hyndman Reefs. Now, the ship was hit really badly. Its bow completely blew open and it was underwater within minutes. Around 470 people died, which was controversial since around 700 people were aboard the ship, and if that was the case, where did the rest of these people go? Like, Where they at though? Now teams went to the wreckage to recover the bodies under there, but had to eventually stop since it was getting too dangerous to go into the wreckage since its openings were sealed with plates, and if you get stuck under there, you're screwed. Now the thing is like a frozen relic in time. There are still cars down there, luggage, TVs, children's toys and clothes. It's just eerie. It's located under 30 meters of water, and divers that have gone there have reported hearing children laughing and the sounds of car engines revving. Some have even claimed they've seen the tires of the cars move even though they've been jammed and rusted for decades. Now at number 2 is the St. Peter. Now this schooner was delivering a shipment of coal from New York to Ohio back in October of 1898. I feel like 1898 was a bad year for ships and stuff. Like I feel like I've seen that year pop up a lot in this video, so I'm like, not a good year for anyone. Either way, the St. Peter encountered a horrible storm on Lake Ontario, which again happened previously on this list as well. You can't underestimate Canadian winter, you guys. What are you doing? Big mistake. Anyway, the storm destroyed the vessel and the crew actually survived for 12 hours after the wreck during 70-mile-per-hour winds and 20-foot waves. They're the real MVPs right there. My heart goes out to the unimaginable things they had to go through in those 12 hours. By the end of it, when rescues finally got there, there was only one survivor, and that was the boat's captain, who was clinging to the boat's mast. Apparently his wife Martha was clinging onto it too, but drowned mere minutes before her husband was rescued. It's said her spirit haunts the wreckage, and divers like to go around the October period because it said Martha's ghost is most likely to be seen around her death anniversary. No matter what time of the year divers go though, they always experience horrible conditions around the area of the boat. Said to be, I guess, the weather haunting the area, just like it did when it sank? Who knows? And finally, at number 1 is the SS Emperor. Always gotta save the best for last, you guys. Now the SS Emperor was a Canadian freighter that sank off the shore of Isle Royale in Lake Superior back in 1947. The Great Lakes are honestly just taking down everyone, like no mercy, and no one is safe. Hide your kids, hide your wife. Now on the 3rd of June 1947, the vessel left Thunder Bay with nearly 10.5 tons of iron ore. By midnight, the captain gave the ship to the first mate, who was extremely fatigued. That caused him to not realize the ship was going the wrong way, and by 4 AM the freighter crashed on Canoe Rocks near Isle Royale. The whole thing literally sank within 30 minutes and 12 crewmen died, including the first mate and captain. Rescuers got there quickly and rescued everyone else aboard, but bodies are missing and have still yet to be found. The wreckage nowadays has a very sinister reputation. Apparently divers have seen the dead crew still working away at the ship with its ruined equipment. Instead of having eyes, they have dark pools of nothing and have been heard whispering the word die repeatedly. Nah, B? Nah. And that's it for today's video, guys. I don't know who in their right mind would want to go and explore a haunted shipwreck God knows how many feet underwater. I'm not trying to be that deep underwater. I'm not trying to get drowned by some salty spirit who died in one of the Great Lakes, and I'm certainly not trying to get eaten by sharks. Nah, B? I don't care if they're not found in the areas of these shipwrecks. I know they will still eat me and find me. I don't care what you guys say. I refuse to believe it. Anyway, let me know what you guys thought below, and as always, I'm your host Ayman Hassan, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!